Kelly, you're muted.
Thank you, Laura. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Michigan PR Group for April 19th. And thank you for everybody for coming today. Today we've got a round robin meeting. So does anyone have any questions or thoughts that they want to bring up to the group to start? No questions. We've all got marketing. Oh, there's my dog. All got marketing under control here. Midnight says hello.
I can start. I am investigating different social media management platforms and scheduling platforms right now. And I'm looking for something. I have a few things in mind, but I've been just curious to know what other libraries are using that might allow for different role assignments. So I'm looking for something where I could have a couple of our staff members create content and I would have the final approval and editing of that content before it's published. I know Loomly does that. I'm looking into Hootsuite, ContentCal, Agora Pulse, but I'm curious to hear what everyone else has been using too.
This is Mary from the Grossman Public Library. We use Hootsuite. You can assign tasks to people, and I've never done it because I'm really the only person that does the posts. But you can do that through Hootsuite, and I've used it for about 4 years now, and I like it. I mean, it makes my life a lot easier. And I know there's other similar systems, but I do like Hootsuite.
This is Jamie from Clinton McCollum Public Library. We also use Hootsuite. We have 2 seats right now, though. I would just caution they have increased their price. So it got a little bit more expensive. It was very reasonably priced. That said, I mean, for something we use daily, it was very reasonably priced, but it has gone up, and it goes up based on the number of seats you actually need. So just keep that in mind. It works pretty well for what it does. And you can approve and assign different roles. So it does have that capability, but I would just be mindful of how many seats you actually need.
That's good advice. Katie put in the chat that she's the only one who does it all, so she doesn't use anything, but it's good to know what's out there. I know I would like to start using that because we do have more and more people chiming in. I'd like to use it more for just content management to make sure it's all that I can approve it as well. And then also just to make sure, because it ends up, because we have a couple of us that all of us will post at the same time. And then one day we have just one post.
Yeah, even though I do all the posts, if people have, what I do is just have everybody send me what they want and then I post it. So I don't, so we don't have, like you said, just everybody posting and it's all at the same time. So you do need to coordinate that for sure. So that, yeah, so I just work it out so I know about it before it happens.
Say, as a side note, Katie kind of brought the question to mind. Does anyone have any tricks for getting people to help them with content? So we're not one-man shops or one lady shops as we are, many of us.
Ask. I mean, I just ask, anybody that has ideas, anything, send them my way. So, and it's funny, but it's always the same people. So, but I think that's true with a lot of things. So
That it is. Getting it, I always try to we have somebody new on staff, try to hit them up right away. Like, ooh, what are your strengths?
Yeah, my position here just changed a bit. So I started managing, I was made full-time here at West Bloomfield. So
Congrats.
I'm managing all of our social media now. Thank you. And before it was managed by a librarian who was pretty well connected with other librarians. So people were actually sending content. And I want to make sure that people continue to send content, even though I'm back in my separate little office here. So I'm trying to build up a relationship with everyone by getting out of my office more and talking with staff on a regular basis and building up that relationship with other people where they're comfortable sending me ideas that they have. The first big campaign that I did, I took over during National Library Week. So I was like, well, this is fortuitous. So I actually did a series of posts, Humans of the Library staff. And I asked different library staff members who told me that they were comfortable having their face out in social media to submit their library story. I had a few different prompts for them to choose from. And the series went over really well. And I think there was a good sense from staff members that they had expected. I guess other staff members who weren't so comfortable putting their face out there were surprised to see that people weren't commenting a ton of negative things, that overwhelmingly people were very positive in the comments. So hopefully that encourages more people to participate in the future. But having a series and having a prompt for people to submit content to and helping them with photos and stuff really helped people generate some content of their own and get their own voices out there a little bit more. So hopefully I can keep that up.
Stephanie, oh, she needs to mute. I was just gonna see.
Just figured out who that was. Well, congratulations, Victoria, for your becoming full-time. So yeah, and it is about the relationships with people. I know, working there for many years has helped to get your foot in the door and find out all the nooks and crannies and of the building and all the services we do. So does anyone else use any other social media management?
This is Farrell over at KPL. We use Hootsuite, Sprout Social. It's more expensive for sure than Hootsuite, but the main reason why we wanted to switch over to it was that its analytics were more accurate. We had constant issues with Hootsuite crashing, losing analytics and things like that, particularly with Instagram. I think that improved after Facebook took over Instagram, but it's definitely made things easier for us. It's got some more sophisticated tools that Hootsuite does not have, such as being able to put in hyperlinks and things like that with Instagram, which typically you can't do. So it's got some nice features to it. My favorite feature to it is that it gives you you can do optimized time to send, and based off of your analytics, it will tell you when's the best time to send that post. So that really is helpful too. And we've kind of played around with that to see if it was effective at all, and it seems to be. Unfortunately, we've had to shut our comments off for a while, and we haven't turned them back on because we were having some harassment issues. So our analytics have really taken a dive because of it, unfortunately, but that's currently what we're using.
Thank you for sharing that, and hopefully you'll be able to turn on comments with only positive or constructive criticism coming through. So does anyone else have questions for the group here?
Yeah.
I have a question. We're gonna be closing our main library branch in about a month for renovations. And we're gonna open up a little pop-up down the street. And I mean, we've been talking about it for quite a while, but I'm just wondering if people have done that, what sort of communications and what worked well. And we're going to be closed for about 1.5 years. So we do have 2 other branches, but this is our main, the main library, and it's kind of in the middle of the town. So I'm trying to, be as communicative as possible and not get too many angry people. And I just wondered if others have had that experience, what you did, what worked well, any words of wisdom.
How far away is it? Like, where is
Well,
it?
from one end of Grosse Pointe to the other takes, maybe 10 minutes, but people go cuckoo if they have to drive more than 5.
Right.
It's pretty funny, but it's not far. But that doesn't, if you have to go from the north to the south, I mean, the world's coming to an end. So it's just the way it is around here for some reason. So it's not far, but it's still, 10 minutes, which is kind of silly, but people
I wish I had anecdotal evidence.
I
We
know.
did this. We did something similar in the summer of 2010, the spring of 2010. So first of all, 12 years ago, and social media time is like a century. But May of 2010 is literally when we started our Facebook page. So I have no anecdotal evidence. We were starting Facebook concurrently with all that chaos. The only thing I can say is, be prepared for people to presume that you're closed and fight against that. So maybe be ready to have staff and books and book cards front and center in all your photos. Look at
that's a good idea.
Look at all this action at the library.
Yeah.
And then just reiterate the address or whatever in the caption.
Yeah, good idea. Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I'm imagining that you're putting like signage and stuff on the doors, and
Yes.
just make sure that has like QR code that people can scan to get.
Oh,
like,
that's a good
the
idea. I always
information
forget about QR codes.
They're
I always
coming
forget.
back now.
Yes, I know, because we tried them years ago and they bombed, but now I
Yeah,
guess they're
This is their time. They were just ahead
QR
of their time.
codes. Good idea.
Can you mock up
Um,
like a map, like a little treasure map style or whatever? Something like that. Where did
Yeah. It's a good idea too. Because the
the
little
oth-
pop-up is just 2 blocks down. I mean, it's not, you could, it's real close to where the main library is, and we're just gonna open up in a storefront that's empty. So it's not far.
Yeah, the other thing, I mean, I think Jeff hit on the most important point, which is to make sure that people know what they can do. But the other thing I was gonna say is that if it's like construction that's long overdue, or that's gonna like be a facelift or like that kind of thing that people would be excited about, like sharing that progress to like just get people kind of excited about what they're gonna see.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, we're putting out an addition. We're gonna put in a drive-through. I mean, it's gonna be pretty cool. And this building was built in 53. And they've been trying to upgrade it and put an addition on it since the 60s and never got approved. So it's kind of a big deal that this is happening. So we're excited. But there'll always be naysayers, and so I appreciate those suggestions. Thank you.
Mary, I just chime in, was my 2 cents is both knowing your library and being a resident
Yes.
of your library is just like have that bookmobile out, take it to the parks, take it up and down the village.
Oh,
and
the book
still,
bike. Yeah. That's a
my
good
kids
idea,
love
too.
seeing that. They saw it at the Ewald branch last week, and
Yeah.
it's the book bike.
Oh, that's nice. That's a great idea too. Thank you.
And then just like learning from what you learned being closed for the pandemic and stuff, like what are the things that people were
Very
most
true.
disappointed about not being able to
Mhm.
use? And are there things like other places you can point them to use that, or ways that you can still like offer Wi-Fi hotspots or offer
Mhm.
printing some way, or, you know, that kind of thing.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah. Just keep remembering about the patron experience and remind them everything that they still can do.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Anyone else have suggestions for Mary? Anyone else have any questions for the group?
I have a question. We've been being asked lately by community groups to post things on our Facebook page for them. And I'm wondering if any other libraries have experience with that, and is it a slippery slope, which is what I'm concerned about? Or do you consider it a good community service?
Who was the group again?
There's a couple of them, our DDA, our village council, township. There's a few.
I'm gonna sound like a grouch, but it's a slippery slope.
Agreed. We get asked all the time to post everything for the community. And we did discuss the idea of, you know, perhaps having a community calendar. There was a local hop had something that we were thinking about trying to participate with. Unfortunately, we found that that was driving people away from our website. We were losing people visiting our website directly. They were getting stuff from local hop instead. So we got out of that. But what we do offer is we have a like a display case here. And if people want to provide us a poster, we can put that up, but they have to be, the events or whatever they're offering has to be free and open to the public like we are. And that's it. We don't put for-profit things up. We don't put sales or missing posters or things like that, just because it gets to be too much. But we'll put up things like, food banks or whatever, social services, things like that. That seems to help just by providing, parameters for what we will do. But we also clearly say we'll never put it on our social media or our website.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
What about Friends of the Library?
We do promote Friends stuff when they ask us to.
Yeah.
Do you have a community board?
We do. Mhm.
I just consider it a confusion of messaging. If people are starting to follow you and they get like a cool reading list of recommendations from a librarian one day, and then they see something from the DDA the next day, I don't know.
Yeah, we've had a couple people in the chat. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I just wanted to jump in because I used to manage social media for Brandon under Rebecca, and I know that we historically shared information from the township. We didn't have a great relationship with the DDA, so we usually didn't get asked by them, or if we did, I didn't know about it. But I know the standard was like she would send me something from the township right away and I would post it. I think best practices and what I practice personally here is if I'm asked to share something, and if it's not if it's something that we might be a partner in, or if it's local news that's going to be impacting traffic to the library, something like that. I think it's okay to share, but I'd prefer to share it from another page so that people don't get confused about what the library is posting. So for example, if there's like, we're on a city campus here, so if there's something happening on the city campus, usually that's nice for people to know about if they're going to be coming to visit the library. some sort of construction or something, or if there's a hazardous waste day here, the lines get pretty long. So I prefer to share that from the police department or the township's page directly, so that people can see that that messaging is coming from them and we're just helping them get the word out about it. It's a little clearer what the relationship is with them then.
We've had a couple of comments in the chats. Was one, Katie said they only do nonprofits if it's community service, and then township and city posts if they're pertinent. And yes, high midnight.
Yeah, I will add too, that's true. I forget that we do post, if we receive any kind of notification about like, loaves and fishes or something like that, something that would really help our patrons. Sometimes there was like our local energy company offered heating discounts or whatever. We would share that information if we felt it would benefit our patrons. But again, shared from their page, not something we would repost under ours, so there was no confusion. But yeah, that was pretty much the only time we would do that, is if we really felt it'd be something that would benefit our patrons.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Somebody posted that they, only do it if they are the ones kind of partnering with them on it. So that's always a good way to get partnerships on things too. But yeah, you definitely want to have clear guidelines, because if you don't, you're going to have everybody saying, oh, now post this and post this, and then you're not going to have any library. You're not going to be a library page. You'll be the community page. And there's a role for that too.
Right. Well, thank you, everybody.
I actually had a question for the group. Ipsy Library, starting in June, is going to be moving to fine free, like I know many have started doing. And I was just curious if, we're kind of working on our promotion plan for that, getting the advertising together and everything. And I was just curious, like, if you guys had any stuff to share, just in terms of, because the goal is to reach the folks to whom fines might have been a barrier to library use. And so I was just curious, kind of in terms of any sorts of fun promotional stuff that you guys did in the library, kind of places that you posted the messaging that we might not have like thought of that were helpful, like just any kind of advice you guys might have had to have gone through that.
One of the things I felt was the most beneficial was working with the local bus company here. They always have messaging in the buses, and we did both English and Spanish. We purchased ads that went on the sides of the buses, in the back. My target audience was specifically the people that had left us because of fines. And the message is really simple. If fines kept you away, welcome back. It was really just like to welcome people back to the library and get them excited about it. I posted the link to our page. One of the other things that we did was we put in an FAQ to try to head off the questions we anticipated getting. This is going to cost the library money. People aren't going to be responsible and return their books, like all the negative things you could possibly think of. We had done surveys and, survey boxes and things like that to people provide feedback about fine free and what they thought. Overwhelmingly, it was positive, but the common thread was we're going to lose all this money, and it just wasn't the case. So as most of you probably have already discovered, that have gone fine free, there's not much, you don't lose money really, and pretty much a wash, or at least it was for us. But yeah, buses, we did some billboards in some strategic areas of the neighborhood, again, in English and in Spanish. I think those are really beneficial for us. And then I also work with the local radio stations, particularly those that targeted areas of, more disadvantaged communities and things like that, that we thought were patrons we were missing out on, and again, in English and Spanish as well. So that I think it went over extremely well. So.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We were going to do an FAQ as well, because especially with we're also in the middle of kind of building our new library branch, and that new branch is going to be opening in the fall. And so like that messaging of, well, you're asking us for donations for this branch, but then you're going fine free. So
Yeah, no, we definitely, I mean, we're a ways off from a millage, but we do keep that in mind that taxpayers might not be happy with it. So we wanted to head that off at the pass and explain, we're not getting this money one way or the other.
Yeah,
But the point of us being here is people use us, and if it's stopping them from coming back, then why are we here? So.
well, thank you.
This isn't fun, but also make sure in your messaging, I'm just stating the obvious, you're getting rid of overdue fines. Doesn't mean people might not have to owe money for a lost or
Right, right,
You don't want to make them think that they can go all willy-nilly.
yes.
So we had to repeat things like, we are no longer enforcing overdue fines.
Yeah, we went fine free a couple of years ago and people still don't know. So I, every once in a while, I'll include that, we're fine free. And if you find books that you have, bring them back. Cause we had, when we first went fine free, I think we had, I don't know, 10 or 15,000 items returned. It was crazy the amount of items people had, and they just were too chicken to bring them back. It's just kind of funny. So, and we did a couple of little fun videos and try to make it fun. So,
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I have a post coming up where I have some variation of the phrase, fear not the wrath of the librarian, because that's a stereotype we've had to work against. There are too many Peanuts comics and Calvin Hobbes comics that make jokes about a librarian chasing after them for overdue fines.
On social media, one of the things that we did was we had various staff record commercials in different language, including ASL, talking about Fine Free. And that was also a lot of fun. We also did a puppet show video, all that stuff just to make it fun for the same reason. And we basically just said, hey, if you called on the fact that people tend to be embarrassed, no one's going to smack your hand here. We just want the materials back. If you've got them, great, you bring them back. And a lot of people did. So that was actually a really fun campaign. It was a real feel good campaign. So enjoy it.
Well, thanks. I like the puppet show idea.
Speaking as someone who lives where Farrell works, I was working in the schools at the time, and we really promoted that out to our students because we have a lot of students that had, just for a lot of reasons, right? Like parents use kids' cards to borrow things, and it was a huge mess, and they wiped everything and started fresh. And that really made a huge difference for our students because they all of a sudden had a card they could use. Because they were like, no, my public library card is ruined, it's broken, it's whatever. And so the school really worked with the public library in conjunction to get out the word like, hey, you can use your card again. We want you using the public library, especially there's a ton of digital resources that KPL has. So just maybe working with some partners to get that word out is a great idea.
Yeah. Well, thanks everyone. That's good feedback.
For those that have gone fine free, did outside of a few in the FAQs, did you find any pushback from your communities?
I think it's already been mentioned, but the one was you're losing all this money, and the other was, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to check out any books because everybody's going to keep their books and no one's going to return their books. And so those were the two main things, and we were prepared, and it just never came to be. So and even now, I mean, 2 years in, we don't have any issue. There's no, people aren't I mean, it works out. It's just people are pretty good about bringing their books back, and the loss of revenue was negligible. And as Jeff said, if you lose your book, however, you have to pay for your book. So after, I think it's 30 days or something. If you don't bring the book back, then we charge you for the book. So
We did a follow-up report, I think about 6 months after we went fine-free, and then a year after we went fine-free. I can't remember the numbers, but we made that available to the public to show that, we really didn't, how much books we got back, how many more patrons came back, and things like that. And it showed that, money was negligible in terms of not getting things returned, and we were actually getting things returned more often. And again, that has to do with the shame factor that people, felt, well, I already have to pay for this because of fees, I might as well just keep it kind of attitude. We end up getting a lot more stuff back. So that was also ended up proved not true. So one of the things I would suggest, if you are coming up on a millage or something like that, where this might be a concern, do follow-up reports. You have that. So you could say, nope, this is, we did this at this point, and this is how many books came back, how many patrons came back, how much money we've actually, negligible loss or whatever, just to have those statistics available. And that definitely seems to help, because, people have their anecdotes, but they can't argue with stats. So.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I like the idea of the follow-ups. That way you do have naysayers later on. You wasted my money. Well, no, we didn't.
So how's everybody going on their summer reading program stuff?
So we're back.
I'm super excited about the theme, like oceans is like, yay.
Surprisingly, we're on schedule for once. I think everything's ready to go.
Is anybody doing like anything really fun or like something you super excited for?
Yes. If you want me to geek out, most of our programming is all water themed in some way. So that was a win. And if all goes well, we're going to have a presenter do the history of sea shanties. We're very excited about that. And lake monsters.
You could get some great TikToks and Instagrams out of that one.
For sure.
I just want to see the promos that you're going to put together for that one. So Ashley put in the chat that her programs are all scheduled and most are in person. They're doing a live dinosaur wrangler for their kickoff event through Fairy Tale Entertainment. Ooh, that should be fun. What does that mean? Like the animals, like armadillos and creatures that have been around that long? I wonder what live dinosaur means. It's got me intrigued though.
I know we've got a performer coming in that's a mermaid. So she'll like go in one of our local pools and she'll swim with the kids and everything. And we're going to do photos for that. And then at our library, we have these like really big glass windows in the front. And so I'm going to put blue cellophane up like, you know, 30 feet up into the air and then make it look like we're all enclosed under the sea. So all of our windows will have like this blue cellophane over them and like fish swimming, you know, through it. I'm just like, yes.
That sounds so fun. You actually have me thinking, because we have lots of blue glass in our building. So we've already got the blue part down.
I've seen on the, I think it's the CLSP page, all these people have done like this like sheer fabric on their lights above, and then they put like cutouts, like black cutouts of sharks and fish and stuff, and it's like such a really cool effect. We don't have those kind of lights here, but man, if we did, that'd be so cool.
And Matt mentioned that at their launch party, they're having a dunk tank with the local firefighters. That's a good partnership there. Who else has fun promotions or fun programs for summer reading?
We were gonna do the paper over the light fixtures also. Just a warning though, it was setting off our motion detectors because when the fans kicked on, so we're gonna do, I think we're gonna do more of a projection instead. So just a warning.
Thank you for the heads up.
We've got a really talented graphic designer here, and he's been doing all the illustrations for our summer reading challenge for the last 4 years or so. And so I'm really excited about the artwork this year. Just, it looks amazing, and it's always just fun to see it all come to life. And when we also have huge windows in our downtown branch, and we always have big window clings up with the artwork, and it's just fun to watch the kids come up and point out different things that they can find, within it. And just, it's always exciting, to get the game boards out. We put them in our quarterly newsletter that's mailed to all of the locations and all the homes in our district, excuse me. So the game board's in there. We print some extras as well, but it's just a fun time. We're just about ready to start ordering everything, which is, my job with ordering all the buttons and all the fun stuff. So t-shirts, staff t-shirts, all that fun stuff. So that's exciting. And we're doing beach towels as the prize this year. So that'll be cool. Something everybody can use.
And Patricia put a question in the chat. She was wondering if anybody has any cool promo video shorts for summer reading or any fun ideas. Hearing what the program they've got going at Ferndale from Jeff there, I'm thinking, we could get some staff singing sea shanties would be fun.
Yes, probably. We've got a ukulele in our library of things. Who knows? I'm going to work on a kind of a commercially video with our youth librarians. Wish us luck, gauged toward teens, and it's going to be. We're going to lean hard into the fact that they will think that we're ridiculous, and we're going to make it like kind of an after-school infomercial and use lots of teen slang that was popular 4 months ago, and that's probably completely out of date with them now. And we're just going to deliver that all with a straight face to the camera and just lean into the comedy of that, while also being informative of how to participate.
It's sure to be lit.
Exactly. Lit, cringe, all that. We're going to lean into stuff like that.
So what kind of props or costumes is anyone going to use?
Our youth librarians got these really fun, I guess you'd call them hats, that are different sea creatures. So there's an octopus, there's a crab, there's a shark, a turtle. I can't think of all of them, but they're really cute. They just bought them, I think, through Amazon or something, but they're really cute. So they're going to do a video with wearing their crazy hats, and can't wait to see it.
Matt put in the comments they have a shark costume for their Memorial Day parade. That's a great one. And Ashley said they bought a left shark costume, like daddy shark, baby shark. And there's a link to it there's a link to the decoration idea in the chat for everybody.
Yep, that's one of the coral reefs that I found that I'm gonna work on and do several like all throughout the library.
I have a summer reading related question too. We are working on transitioning. In past years, we've done our own website that our IT coordinator had created. And this year we're switching towards using Beanstack. So I think they'll be pretty well received because it answers a lot of the questions and complaints that we've had from people for a while about some of the usability features. But I'm curious to know how other libraries might be. I imagine lots of QR codes to promote the use of the app particularly. Is there anything else that you guys have done or seen lately, switching to a different SRP platform?
Plymouth is on Beanstack. We're making a change this year to doing just one program for all ages instead of doing separate, distinct teen, adult, and youth. So this is kind of a trial for us to take that approach.
That's cool. You'll have to let us know at the end of the summer how it went for you.
Yeah, it's interesting to we're trying to make it a little more of a family approach and just tell people they can do, any and all. And there's different activities, obviously, that are age focused, but we're not really promoting the program with distinct ages. So
Jumping off that, is anybody using Read Squared this year?
We are at IPSI using, that's what we've used for the past. I don't know how many, I don't actually do that part of it, the youth librarians do, but they've been using it for a while.
Do you feel, I mean, like, I know you probably know a little bit about it. Do you feel like it's a good system?
I mean, I think they've had like some qualms, like just about like general intuitiveness and usability and stuff, but I think overall it does what they need it to do. So I don't know of any plans to kind of switch or anything. So
And if you, Stephanie, if you have any other questions, a couple, Matt and Katie both say in the chat they're using it, and Matt says they're currently learning how to use it, and Katie says it's all right. She wishes it was more visual and user friendly, but works for her.
yeah, user friendly is the word that I was looking for. Yeah, not super that, but
it seems like such a ripe opportunity for somebody who wants to do some program development. It's so distinct and clear, and every library pretty much needs to use it the same way. It just seems like, hello, is there a student out there that needs a project or something?
That would be good. I like Katie's idea. If it was designed more like a game.
I have an unrelated question. I'm curious, what do you all know about how are you doing onboarding for new card holders? I'm wondering if anybody feels like they have a really successful program with that, both in terms of possibly physical things you're handing to somebody who, as they get their new card, and or a series of emails that hit somebody who's a new card holder.
We have like a 1-question survey that we have folks fill out about that asks them why they got their library card, and there's about, I don't know, like a dozen different choices,
Mhm.
whether I just moved to town, or I want to read more, or I need a place to study, or I saw it on social media, or what a friend told me. It's been very interesting to get that data. We also asked them if they want to join the newsletter right then and there.
I started positioning getting a library card as becoming a member of the library. I stole it from some other library. I think it was in Ontario, maybe I saw the idea. And we also just kicked off a little promotion through the Chamber of Commerce that anyone who works in Grosse Pointe, even if you don't live here, can get a card. And I've really been trying to push that. And we do send a series of emails to new card holders. We use Savannah through Orange Boy to do that, and trickle them out. I think I can't remember. I do a series of 6 of them like every 2 weeks, and send them out to encourage, to what I would call cross sell the different library services instead of dumping 400 things you can do with your card. Try to just tell them about 1 or 2 things in each email, welcoming them to the library. And then, a couple of weeks later, here's something you can do. Here's something you can do. Just kind of trickling it out there so that it's not too overwhelming.
That's something I'm especially curious about is the frequency, how
Mhm.
much are you spreading that out? How much are you doing right away when they sign up? And so that's interesting to hear.
Yeah, and we have online cards too. So we do a different one for online cards, and that's like a 30-day card that then they need to come in to have full access. The online card just gives them access to the online services. So they need to come in and to get a full service card. So we kind of do that, simultaneously.
How do you feel about that Orange Boy? Is that worth what you're paying for it?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's really not that crazy expensive, and it's phenomenal to me. I mean, it's given me the opportunity to target much more, and our open rate has gone up significantly. We're over 40% open rate, which when I was using whatever I was using before, I can't even think of it right now. Constant Contact. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think I was lucky if I could get to 20%. So it's really helped.
What do you think made that difference with Orange Boy?
Targeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sending messages to people, specifically information that they want to know. Yeah. Made a huge difference.
I completely agree. Our open rate on our targeted emails through Orange Boy is phenomenal. And I'm a youth librarian, and for some reason, my library wasn't incorporating us in doing this, and they were sending out emails on youth behalf, but only a couple. They only did it maybe twice, but we're going to, that it's interesting. They categorize people as digitarians or, people who use primary e-resources. And, when you send those things out, one of the keys I think is succinct. Just having a couple of things that they can click on. If they open up their email, it's like they don't even have to really scroll. It's just all right there. And, so we have, right now we're doing, I think, like 3 or 4 out to different groups of people that fit into these different categories. Some are like, adults that check out, because we only send them to 18 plus. But, adults who check out children's materials, adults that check out mainly AV materials and stuff. And the return rate that you can see on Orange Boy is great too, because you can actually do a comparison of, because it does communicate with some circulation modules and different, I think maybe it communicates even with Beanstack. So it's wonderful to get that feedback immediately.
That's cool. And Katie has been putting in the chat some of the different, looks like category types that Orange Boy has, because I know if we're matching up what you were saying, Patricia, with digitarians, page turners, bedtime stories, occasionals, and inactives.
So I have a couple questions about that because we are doing targeted emailing, but using Constant Contact right now. And those are self-selected target groups where people are opting in to these different lists. So I'm curious, is Orange Boy inviting people to self-select into those target groups, or is that something that the library is doing?
Based on what you use in the library, you are put into what they call a cluster, and it will change. So for me, for example, like if I was just checking out books and that was all I was doing, and then let's say during the pandemic, I started checking out through Libby or Hoopla, or I started getting movies or whatever, then you go into a different cluster. So depending on what you're using at the library, you're put into a cluster. We can't move a person around, like I can't say, oh, I want this person to be in a digitarian, it's all done. It's all done, through the system.
Interesting.
Based on usage.
And you can see, like, historically, I'm sorry, like you can see the movement, like you can see like an occasional user who was getting a targeted email moved over to a digitarian because of some email they got. The data is phenomenal, Katie.
I'll add too, because we're currently investigating different customer relationship management software. That's one of our initiatives for this year. So we've been looking at Orange Boy and Patron Point side by side, and I feel like Orange Boy is a good fit for our organization. But it seems like they both allow people to opt in or do an opt out. So you as the library get to choose which one you're most comfortable with as far as the e-newsletters go. So you can have people do an opt in for the e-newsletters and still be able to see, my understanding is you can still see the data of all those different clusters, even if not everyone's participating in the newsletters, in the e-newsletter system. And then you can use people who have opted in, you can still send them targeted emails. So if your library is not comfortable doing an opt out, or if you're trying to make sure that people are genuinely interested, because I've heard that can boost your open rates too, if people, if you do an opt-in system, though you might not have as much far of a reach. So all good things to consider, but that's.
How does the people who are using Orange Boy, how do you feel about the email creation component of, in terms of graphics, or, how do you feel about that piece of, how you're doing with creating your emails in that tool?
It's kind of like learning anything
Jamie
new. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Patricia.
I said, well, it's kind of like learning any new thing. What's nice is if you wanted to keep some consistency in your email, say you want to email people who fall under the digitarian thing, you can keep your same letterhead and, create emails based off your original template. It does require a little bit of a learning curve, but, their emails are, once you get used to it, like any new software, you can start cruising through it, and it's pretty great, I think.
This is Jamie from Clinton Macomb. I was just going to say, we used MailChimp prior to making the switch to Savannah, and it was a very similar interface. It wasn't too terrible. They've got a lot of different options. And the great thing is once you've got a template set up, you can just swap out. So if you find something that you're like, oh, this is the layout that's like really what I want, you can just swap out pictures and information and stuff like that. And I liked the fact that I'm looking at the chat, Katie, and I see that you said it's better than Constant Contact. It's way better than MailChimp too. For anybody who's ever used MailChimp, the lists there were kind of a nightmare to try to sort through, and they kept trying to like put people on multiple lists, but then charge you for the same person over and over again. And it's just so much easier in Savannah with the clusters. You can target to specific clusters. You can make your own list. Like if you're just looking to hit like all of the parents between like 0 to 18. You can hit a couple of different clusters to make it happen. They're really good about training too. We just started on Savannah last fall, or like last late summer. It was like August when we really started to get on. And they've got people that can assist you. They can pull reports for you. In my opinion, it's really something to look into if you're looking for that kind of software.
I agree. Jamie, we've been on a couple of years now, and we went on just before the pandemic. Thank God, because then I could target. I mean, it's just been phenomenal, and they're very helpful. They have a lot of training. You can create your templates using your branding and your colors and all that stuff. So it's very flexible, and if there's ever an issue, they are very responsive and helpful, and we've been very pleased with them.
Thanks for the input, everybody. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued by it. And oh, before I forget, there was a request in the chat. Jeff, would you be able to send out that 1 question survey? Put that up on the listserv. We had a request for that.
Sure.
Thanks. Does anyone else have any questions before we adjourn for the month?
Well, not necessarily a question, but just sort of a pitch to throw out. This is Adam from the Library of Michigan. So Michigan Notable Books Tour just started last week. So if there's anybody who is hosting a library, great, awesome. If you're not, I would keep an eye out just to see if any of those hosting libraries are nearby you, because I think it's a good opportunity for, even if your patrons, if the author isn't coming to your library, it's a good opportunity to showcase some of those authors to your patrons. So kind of keep an eye out on the tour list just to see if you want to share something on your own social media accounts. I think we tried to geographically get them into all the different places in Michigan. So hopefully everybody can at least go to 1 or 2 if they're able to. So.
Great. I always love the Michigan Notable Books. I always like looking at that list every year. So
Yes.
I'm always adding to my to read list from that. And we do have a question in the chat. Is Library of Michigan doing a social media campaign about that?
Let's see. So far, anytime that we see anything that any of the hosting libraries are putting stuff up, we're trying to share that content on our accounts. Depending on time, I'm going to try and see if I can do a little bit more from us, listing like, hey, these libraries are hosting like this week or in the upcoming week. So I would certainly keep an eye on our accounts just for content. But yeah, there's a lot of new people that are working on Notable Books this year. So a lot of it's a bit new to many of us. So, but I think we've got a good selection of authors and a lot of great libraries are hosting. So, good to see Oak Park. Looks like they're one of the hosts, which is great. Awesome. So in fact, I'm going to put the link to the tour in the chat so everybody can see.
Thanks. And Katie has a question, how to find out if their library is participating in the Notable Books.
Everybody who was selected is listed on that tour page that I just put in the chat. So Katie, what I don't know what NDL is. What
Northville.
Northville. Okay. Let me, in fact, I've got, let me double check here. It doesn't look like, yeah, Northville isn't on it, but I know that there are more than a couple that are in the Detroit, southeast area. I know Adrian is one, Salem South Lyon, a couple more that are in sort of Detroit proper, northwest side, like Commerce is on there. So there should be plenty around that are on the east side of the state.
And then Laura sent up a reminder in the chat. Just remember that there's that great MCLS posting looking for a marketing and communications coordinator. It closes this week. So if you want to toss your hat in the ring, you know, the link is there, and good luck to everybody that does toss their hat in the ring. That should be a cool job.
And if you have questions about what it's like to work at MCLS, you can talk to me. I'll tell you more.
Great. Well, thank you, everybody. Thanks for attending. I'll post up this recording onto send it out on the listservs either later today or tomorrow. So, and we'll see everybody in May.
Thanks as always.
Thanks.